Okay, hello. This is my lecture. Has man evolved from ape-like ancestors? It should be about 20 minutes long. And my name is Martin Gage. Let us begin. My position: no animal kind has ever evolved from any other kind. Great variety within animal kinds is seen, but is limited. We only ever see dogs producing dogs, cats producing cats. But if you are an advocate for the evolution theory that at some point animals have to bring forth other kinds of animals, not just a change within the kind, i.e. a dog producing a non-dog, all we ever see is cats producing cats, dogs producing dogs. We have great variety, but it appears to be limited. Man was created by God as part of the original creation, and he is special as he has free choice. That is my position. The common mainstream media view is a little different. The earth is billions of years old. Man is just another animal. Man and apes, such as chimpanzees, share a common ape-like ancestor. Scientifically, the concept of Apemen implies the following: that evolution is true, and that it produced a line of semi-human creatures from some original non-human ancestor, that the process which ultimately produced man was death of the less fit along the way. Heard the term survival of the fittest. Millions of years necessary for this did actually occur. That the fossils claim to be relics of such creatures, these evolutionary links, constitutes a reliable record, i.e. have been interpreted correctly in anatomy, age, and presumed evolutionary relationships. Let's have a look at some of the so-called evidence. Ape to man evidence. Genetic and structural similarity, and the fossil record. Genetic and structural similarity. As already noted in Creation or Evolution You Decide, which is another one of my lectures, genetic and structural similarity provides equally as good evidence for a common designer as it proves a so-called common ancestor. Therefore, this cannot be presented as evidence for evolution. And in case you've not seen my other lecture, I go along on this basis. A Focus, which is a car, and a Mondeo is another car, will probably share a very high percentage of identical components, very similar components. This does not prove that they share a common ancestor or that they're even related. It proves they have a common designer. In the case of the cars, it is Ford, the Ford Focus and Ford Mondeo. And I believe it's the same with the genetic similarity. We see a chimpanzee. I would expect a high proportion of its DNA to be similar or identical to us. We share a lot of common features. You can just see that, I mean, chimpanzees do look similar to humans in a lot of respects, but this does not prove that we have a common ancestor, although it's easy to think this. Now having a quick look at the fossil record. Over the years, many so-called Apemen fossils have been paraded as proof of the evolution of man from ape-like ancestors. An example there in a photograph is Homo erectus. I give some other examples here from magazines and textbooks of the typical evolutionary sequences proposed in those documents. We see there the skulls from smallish smallest to large. So we go from ape to human there, and some things that appear to be somewhere in the middle. We also see them laid out there with regard to age. You can see there the scale there is in the millions of years, and the different so-called evolutionary branches. Now, a typical evolution sequence, which is common in many of today's textbooks and which is promoted in many of the TV shows which try and promote this evolution propaganda, that we evolved from an ape-like ancestor. I mean, this changes over the years, but we have Australopithecus afarensis. I don't think I've pronounced that correctly, but that's the Lucy bones. Most of us have probably heard of Lucy. There's reconstructions of Lucy in many of the natural history museums throughout the world. There is a display in the Natural History Museum London with Lucy being proudly displayed there. The next is a common Homo habilis, Homo erectus, and Neanderthal man is a typical evolutionary sequence. Now, it's just worth noting, over the years there have been many more of these, but many of these so-called Apemen have been disproven even within the scientific community. Trying to promote the evolution is true. So that's why we see these getting chopped and changed around. The mother of man, 3.2 million years ago. Lucy was discovered in 1974 by Donald Johansen and his student in Ethiopia. Australopithecus means southern ape. They found approximately a third to 2/3 of the skeleton. You can see there above. It's certainly not a complete skeleton.